So, Dr. Chitra, it's over to you. I am just going to give you right regarding the.
Yes. Sir, am I audible?
You are very much audible.
Okay.
You are now presenter. Okay.
Okay. So good evening, all the respected faculties, and a very good afternoon to all my colleagues as well. I'll just share my screen, and then we shall begin the discussion. Okay. So I hope I'm audible. In case I'm not audible in between, I request Atul sir to kindly interrupt and let me know. So to begin with, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we are hearing a lot about how important GIS is, that is Geographic Information System, and we are seeing not only in academic journals and not only in our PG discussions, but also all over the media, all we see are graphs and we see maps, which are a visual representation or a geospatial representation of the data. So even the general population is nowadays just lapping up all the GIS or mapped information that is being provided to them. And in the midst of all this, we as young public health professionals are often caught a little bit on the back foot, because when we look at all the mapping softwares, we only come across very sophisticated softwares such as QGIS and others. Of course, they are extremely powerful softwares with a lot of analytics available. However, in the process of learning those, we often end up not actually using them as much as we can. Hence, I thought that in our department, we have been using a very simple platform, the very humble Google Maps So we've been using Google as a very widely used platform for mapping. The previous slide which I missed is actually one of the GIS created. Sir, I'm getting some interruptions as messages requesting annotation.
No, you continue. You continue with your presentation.
Okay. So, the government of India has actually created a platform known as the Indian Geo Platform. It's the Indian Geo Platform of ISRO. It's called as Bhuvan. And it uses very sophisticated software to create images like the one you can see on your screen right now. However, in our department, we've been using a very simple, very user-friendly technology, that is our very own, very humble Google Maps, to create similar images which depict data in a very easy to read form. And there are two tools which Google provides for the same. One is Google Maps, which all of us are very accustomed to using for finding our ways to places unknown. And the second is a platform called Google My Maps, which is actually a part of Google Maps, but it has a separate app called Google My Maps. And it also has a separate tab in Google Drive. And this basically enables us to create maps on our own. So moving forward, my objectives here are listed in a way that I'm trying to structure a process which is actually very intuitive. That when you start exploring Google Maps and Google My Maps, you will not actually need a very structured step-by-step guide to understand how it works. It's very user-friendly and very intuitive. However, since it's an academic session, I've tried to list down some objectives. The first is that we'll be understanding the utility of digital maps in general as well as in COVID. Second would be a brief overview regarding the different types of digital maps. It's a classification for my own understanding, which I find very easy. It's static map and maps which track live movements. We'll be discussing static maps in more depth. Unfortunately, because of the complexity involved in live movement tracking. We might not be able to discuss the intricacies. However, towards the end, I shall be sharing links to tutorials which cover all the steps in depth. And third would be, we would be seeing all the features, very utility wise, very important features of Google My Maps. So, we all, being public health professionals, are well aware about the utility of geospatial visualization of data. And because of COVID, India as well as the entire world is mapping data. And because one of the main reasons for digital maps catching up at the level of residence, we as postgrad students, a lot of us were involved in contact tracing, and that is how this idea of using Google Maps for COVID came to me. And it basically that it could probably help in increasing the efficiency of contact tracing and quarantining, and we'll see how. It's a very user-friendly interface, and it allows real-time collaborative digital map. Real-time meaning that if our field workers or us are mapping points in the field and filling in data in the field, then simultaneously the higher authorities sitting in their offices can actually see the data points being mapped. And innumerable people, I think there is no limit to the number of people who can map on a Google My Map. It's real-time collaborative. Coming to the types of maps, one is static, which basically maps the static locations. That is, it doesn't track any live movement, it's just static. And so any number of workers can do that simultaneously, and it can cover any extent of geographical area. So it could be a small village, and it could be up to an entire country. The second type of digital map is live movement mapping. As I said, it will show you where exactly, how exactly a person is moving, and it will not notify you. But if you are constantly visualizing it on the map, you'll be able to see the movement of the persons whose live mapping has been done. A lot of us are already aware about it because we share our location live not only on WhatsApp but also on Google Maps. In fact, sharing of location through Google Maps is an inbuilt feature of WhatsApp now. And thirdly, we'll see how to superimpose a live map onto a static map. The only utility for this that I see right is that if you've given if a person has been kept under quarantine, and if he or she has strict instructions to not move out, then that would be the static location that is fixed, suppose his or her home. And if you are able to superimpose the live movements, then you can actually see if the person has moved out of his assigned quarantine facility. But of course, India being a democracy, there is a great amount of it is very important to keep in mind the confidentiality and the ethical aspects of this and the privacy aspects. So only if the person permits us to keep such vigilance on him or her, only then can we do this. Unless a person agrees, this tool cannot be used. So it is a major limitation, but being a free country, I don't personally think of it as a limitation. But for those who are willing to comply, it will make our jobs easier. It can also reduce the number of home visits that our field workers have to do to the same home. Because for those who have complied, we can, if they have their phone with them, and if they are showing the willingness, then we don't need to go to their homes daily. And this data can be accessed from the authorized devices 24/7. So Google is very high on security. It tries to be, according to my understanding. So only those people who've been authorized to access this data can actually see it on their Gmail ID. And as I said, population compliance is very necessary. So coming to the first part, we'll first see what static digital map outcome looks like. So as you can see on the screen, this is these are all the points that I have plotted, and just a disclaimer over here that all the points or data that you can see on the screen throughout this session are all dummy data, and none of it is original district data. We'll discuss the utility features of this screen in the coming slides. First of all, we'll begin with the first scenario for static mapping, which would mean that you all, like for most of us, we would already have a lot of data already in form of a spreadsheet wherein detailed addresses of the people are already entered. The only problem is we might not have latitude, longitude, or the coordinates for that location. So that is our first scenario: how to map, how to create a map using an existing spreadsheet. So now I'll be sharing a video through which I'll be explaining how we do it. So as you can see, this is Google Drive, and we go to more and we click on Google My Maps. So this is an untitled map created. From here you can just give a title to the map. So I'm giving the title IAPS trial, and we click on save right here. As you can see, it is getting reloaded. Now we move to the spreadsheet that we already have. So this is the Google spreadsheet which is already having, these are the 4 medical colleges in Ahmedabad and their serial numbers. So these we'll be using it as the names as well as the address. So moving forward, we click on add-ons and click on get add-ons, and we use geocode by Awesome Table. That is an extension which is available on Google, and we just simply install it. We'll have to give it the required permissions. Kindly ensure that the Gmail ID you use is an authorized one for this purpose, especially in the COVID times. Once it is loaded, you click on done. One important step here is that you will have to reload the page now. So you will see that I'm clicking on this URL link over here, and I just click on enter so that the page gets reloaded. Once I reload it, the add-on gets activated. I click add-on, go to start geocoding. On the right side, as you can see, we just select the column which has all the addresses entered, and then we click on geocode. So now this extension will itself create 2 new columns, latitude and longitude, and it will just put in within a matter of seconds, even for very large data, within a matter of minutes, you'll have latitude, longitude for all the places that are entered here. One very important prerequisite over here is that these addresses that you can see on the screen here, these addresses should be identifiable on Google Maps. So if there is a street which doesn't show on Google Maps, then this will not be possible. So one option is that you just conduct this process, and places where you get errors are the addresses which don't show in Google Maps. And for that, we'll see next how to go to the location and take the latitude longitude. So moving forward, we go back to our maps and we click on the untitled layer, import. So we don't need to name the title. We just go to our Google Sheet and go to the spreadsheet that we just saw. That is scenario 1, pre-existing data. We click on it and it will retrieve the document. This is important. By default, it selects latitude and longitude columns to decide where to position the location points on the map. And as you can see, once it gets imported, you can see that all the points have been plotted, and you can see all the 4 colleges right here. Also, you'll notice that the title of the layer is the same as the spreadsheet that was imported. Of course, we can edit it anytime we want. As you can see, the 3 points that were the 3 columns that were present in the spreadsheet, that is the serial number, the title of the college, and the latitude, longitude, all 4 are here. This here becomes the title because, as you might have noticed in the video, I chose the name of the college as the position marker. So that becomes the title. If there are any doubts, we can actually discuss them towards the end of the session. Moving forward. So these are the locations that have been marked. And this first scenario. Coming back to our presentation, so as I already mentioned, addresses should be detectable in Google Maps, so this method work. Now coming to the second scenario, and I label it as creating Google Maps from scratch, meaning that we don't have any spreadsheet, we don't have any data, we have to go to the field, collect the data and then plot it. So we'll see a video for that. All these tutorials will be made available to you through YouTube. I've already uploaded some of them. The rest of them will be uploaded. So, as you can see, again, we go to our Google Drive and we go to Google Sheets and create a new sheet. Again, we give a title to the spreadsheet. As you can see now on the screen, we have these column heads. Serial number can actually be the unique ID that we give to each individual or each location being mapped. Then the first name. Then I've written some columns in Gujarati. Pitanu naam Atta Kumar. This is just to indicate that this data format can be in any vernacular language. It need not be in English. Gender and some more column heads. This one right here, the Google account name, is very important if we want to use this map that we are creating right now later for live tracking also. So we'll come to that later when we discuss live tracking in brief. However, it's important to collect Google account name if you intend to track the live movements of an individual. So these column heads should actually be all the, this is actually the format that you want the field workers or the residents, whoever goes to the field workers to fill for whatever location point that they are plotting. So if I go to a case that is being quarantined, a person that is being quarantined, these are probably the details I would want to collect, and of course many data fields. Moving forward, so we create this format in spreadsheet and then we go back to Google Maps. Yes. So now we just add one more layer. Import the blank sheet which has columns written to Google Maps now. So this is the second scenario sheet, and here I'll just pause. So as I said, this is where we are plotting a map from scratch. That is, we don't already have the coordinates. Hence, we don't have any columns which will have latitude, longitude. So when we are asked to choose a column to position our place marks, we can just click on any column. It will not matter. Moving forward, this is important. As I mentioned in the previous video, this is where we choose the column for which the column which will act as a title for each position that we mark. I recommend that we use a unique ID for that. However, if we want to use this map for live movement tracking, then we'll have to use Google account name as the title for our markers. As you can now see, if I add a marker in that layer, I'm getting the entire format that we had created in Excel, and we can fill in all the data over here. So this is for the laptop version, or when I'm not going to the field and I already have some idea. Maybe I want to plot all the hospitals which are acting as designated COVID care centers. Then I can just locate those hospitals and fill in the data right here. I need not go to the field, provided those hospitals are showing on Google Maps. As you can see, all the data that I enter, I can also add a photo for that particular location from any of the sources right here. And we save it and we can see that a point has been created right here. So as you just saw, I also ticked the first layer that I created so that we are basically able to superimpose layers one on top of the other, as we'll see again in the utility features of the map. So that's all about this this video, which was basically yes. So it was basically about creating a spreadsheet from scratch without going to the field. That is simply on our laptops. The second option would be that we don't even know what the locations are. Like in COVID, we have to trace the contacts and locate the place or the homes where a particular person will be quarantined. So for that, it is very necessary for us to visit the location at least once so that we can get the coordinates of that data. So for that, we'll now work on how to create a Google map from Google My Maps app. So we'll see the next demo for that. So here, yes. So this is a screen recording of my own mobile phone. So this is how the My Maps app will look. You all might be having it on your phone since for hands-on, I requested that those of you who can download it, please download it. So this is how the Google My Maps app looks. It's different from Google Maps. So we open it, and this is the IAPSM trial map that we've already created. It's the map that we've created in the previous two demonstrations. When you click on this cross sign here, it's not very visible because of the record time, but this green cross that you see here, if you click on it, you can create a new map and you can give it any title you want. This is how the menu opens in all Google apps. So you can click on shared with me if the map has not been created by you but has simply been shared with your Gmail ID, and you can click on created by me if you've created it. We click on created by me, and so in shared with me I have none. In created by me I have the trial one I made. So as you can see, the points that we plotted in the previous two demo videos are already there. And suppose this is the GMERS College Solar. So when I click on it, I get all the details that have been filled for that. The title as well as the details. And if I had added more details, it would show over here. So now, here we can see a plus sign on the screen. When we click on it, we can add a new point. What's important over here is that we have to zoom in as much as possible to improve the accuracy of the marking. This is the compass symbol right here, bottom right. And we click on the compass and we zoom in. We again click on the compass, we again zoom in. We keep repeating this till this balloon marker right in the center doesn't move much. So that is what I'm doing. I'm zooming in, clicking on the compass. And this is the PSMC campus. As you can see, it has located Pramukh Swami Medical College campus. And this is the data format. As you might have noticed, this is the exact same data format. It's the two layers we have created in the previous two videos. So I'm selecting the second one, that is from step. But this time we'll simply be filling the data from the field. So I select this layer in the app and I'll get the same format that we have created in Excel. So we just fill up data. And all of us who use Google regularly, we might not find it very difficult. And for those of us who don't use it very often, just one or two times of practice will actually make it very easy for you to use. It's not difficult. It's just I'm having to share a lot of information in a limited period of time. So it might look slightly you might feel slightly overburdened with the information. But when you go through the tutorials again, I'm sure you will understand that it's extremely easy and user friendly, and it's much easier than the sophisticated softwares that we otherwise have to use. So as you can see, all the data that was filled, I just reload the map and I can see all the points that I created in the previous demo as well as the current one. This is the point I plotted, point 4, and I can see all the information. We can see the plotted information even in the Google My Maps app. However, a lot of editing options are not available in the My Maps app. So till now we saw two scenarios. One is we created, we used the pre-existing spreadsheet to create a map by simply using the geocode extension, plotting the coordinates and importing it into Google Maps. Second was we went to Google Sheets, created a data format, we imported it to Sheets. Then there are two ways of filling it. One is simply with the laptop we locate the points and fill in the data, or second one would be to fill in the data in the field using Google My Maps app. Moving further, so we already saw the video for this. These are just screenshots of how to use the Google My Maps app. All the points that we discussed in the video are shown here. Now we come to the key utility features of digital mapping. And rather than discussing each of these points in a static map, I'll again be demonstrating how to use these features using a video. So first is, as you can see, this is the title of the map. The second utility feature would be the base map option. You can select the satellite option, which gives you the actual satellite images of the area. We switch back to this version since it's easier to see the position markers here. Now we'll see how to edit the appearance of these markers right here. So the first option is that, as you can see, this individual style is selected. That is, all these can be edited separately. So I can give a separate type to GMRS Solar, separate one to NHL. So each of these are individual markers. The second option would be to give a uniform style to each. As you can see, I'll just place this forward. Yes. As you can see, all the 4 cottages have now been clubbed into similar looking markers. All of them are yellow ones and all of them have been clubbed into one group. So now if you have selected uniform style, it is not possible to give each marker an individual appearance. For that, you'll have to select individual styles. The third option for how the markers look is you select style data column. So suppose you want to make the males appear a certain way on the map and the females appear a certain way, then you say that we need to style by data column, and for that choose gender. We choose the gender column, so we'll have male, females and others, and all 3 will be given different appearing markers. So I just select over here. Of course, we can say we might have asymptomatic cases or symptomatic cases. So we can make the markers appear differently or depending on our requirements. For now, I'm using gender as the differentiating column. So we choose gender. As you can see, males, we have 3 over here. So now it's important to note that this particular method is case sensitive. So since I have typed this male in all capitals, it's seeing it as a separate entity. So what I now have to do is I go to that point and I edit it. And I write males the same. So wherever we want to use a column to differentiate between the appearance of the markers, it is necessary that we are taking care of what we type. It is case sensitive. Now you can see that we have 4 males here and 1 female. So now we'll see how to customize these markers. So we just back up a little. We click on this bucket item right here. Wherever you see a bucket, you can actually edit the appearance of the marker. So we click on it, we can give it a different color, or we can click on more icons, choose from any of these pre-existing icons, give a custom icon. And so this custom icon, these are just images that I downloaded from Google. So that can be any image that you want. And so we now just select this for males and we click on OK. And as you can see, all the males have been given a certain, a similar icon. We do the same for females. And as you can see, the males and females have been given different icons. Now, what's to be noticed is if I create a new point at, if I plot a new point at this stage, and if I type in gender as female, then the marker will automatically assume the same appearance as this icon. So now, as you can see over here, using this bin, you can delete it. So this is for editing. This pencil that you see is for editing these data. Camera that you see, we can actually upload any photo that we wish. We can take a photo or upload a one already present in data. We click on it, and it's just a random picture that I had. And so as you can see, this photo is uploaded. I can delete the photo, or I can add a series of photos for a particular location. I'll just once again emphasize that since we are utilizing so much personal data, we all understand that this can be done, the photographs and all uploaded only if the data is going to be confidential. And of course, with official approval only, we can work on these things in the field in reality. So now that is done. And when we click on it, we can see the photo and all the data that we have entered. Another utility is this search bar that you see. So suppose I type in BJ Medical, then the first thing that appears at the top will be the points that we have marked. Then the existing markers in the map, the base map, of course, Google itself has a lot of points already marked. So all the other relevant searches will come below the points that we have marked. So the first one is what we had marked. Now, so again you can see I typed in point and all the points that we had marked are shown. So we are taken to that point. Coming to the next feature, we've already seen that this add layer feature adds new layers and we can superimpose one layer on the other. We'll see how to apply this in the COVID text in the coming slides. As you can see, I am simply removing a layer and then just adding it back. We can add a new layer. And without importing any spreadsheet, we can actually just simply begin plotting points in that layer. This is the add new point marker. New point gets added in a new layer. This is very important. I clicked on the share icon right here. So this is to add collaborators. So if suppose we have a limited number of collaborators, then we can simply add their the Gmail IDs here and they can then become collaborators. However, our context, we might have a large number of people that we want to go into the field and continue plotting. In that case, we'll share a link for this map and anybody who gets the link can plot the data. So of course it is important that the link stays within the group that is supposed to use it for plotting. But it is used for sharing it, for adding innumerable collaborators. There is no limit to the number of people who can add to this map. So you can have people from all the states of India working on a single map. So you click on the link option. This is where you edit. Anyone with the link can edit. So you will see anyone with the link can edit, or if I want to restrict the use, then I can select this, that only those people whose email IDs I have added can use this link. So anyone with the link can view or anyone with the link can edit, whichever the purpose, we select the appropriate one. Now we just copy this link right here, and once this link gets copied, we can paste it, we can share it through, say, WhatsApp web. So we WhatsApp web in our laptops. We just Control V, that is paste the link in WhatsApp and share it, or we can copy paste this link in Google Chrome as well, that I'll show here. So once the link is copied, I open a new tab, and when I paste the link there, the same map opens. So whoever gets this link, this is how he or she will be able to view the map that we have created. And since we have kept that anyone with the link can edit, this editable form will appear. Otherwise, a preview form will appear. That is, they can simply view it, they cannot edit it. That's the end. So we have covered all the utility features right here. I'll see if this PDF can also be shared, so that, and otherwise I'll again be uploading it on a link that I'll share with you at the end. Continuing with the presentation. This is a very important aspect. As you might recall, I had mentioned in the previous video that certain columns can be case sensitive if you want to use them for differentiation. So all of us who work with Excel know that there is an option of data validation, where you can actually give a drop down menu, or you can keep that, only numbers from say 60 to 100 will be accepted, others will not be. So since this is Google Maps, it does not have a very powerful validation facility. However, it does provide validation to some extent, and so we'll see how that can be applied. We go for data validation. This is one more utility feature which I did not cover in the previous video. So 3 dots that you see over here, when you click on it, you have an option of renaming the layer, deleting the layer, or opening the data table. This is important. When the data table opens, all the points that have been plotted within this layer are visible here in form of a table. Now it would be our dream to have this data in a downloadable form, or at least if we could copy this into Excel, but unfortunately, or even Google Sheets, unfortunately Google Maps does not yet provide the facility of copying this data into Google Sheets, or even downloading this data as it is. So that is where we actually become stuck, that we are creating a map from scratch. We are collecting all the data from field, filling it in Google Maps, getting this table, but we are not able to export it to Excel. So we'll feel that this is non-analyzable data. However, there is a trick around this, and that I'll discuss. So basically, this is the table that you get. First I'll show how to validate the data. So just click on the column and add a new column. You give it a name, and this is where you validate. So this is all that is provided. Either you can validate it for text, number, date and time, or true and false. Other than this, there is other validation that is possible. This much of validation itself can be very useful in certain situations. So you just add it, you give it a title. I've chosen date and time, and the column title is date. As you can see over here, now I click on any point that was plotted in that layer, and you can see that a new data field has been added, that is date, but it does not have any value. So now I just click on this pencil mark, and if I type in any text, it will not accept it. I'm typing in ABCD, it still stays no value. So that is where data validation gets applied. It will not accept any value which is not a date. Now I type 29 July with returning words, still it accepts it and it takes it as a valid entry. As you can see, it gives all the other time zone details. Moving forward. Yes, so that was the video about data validation. Coming to the next utility. Yes, so this was the data validation. You can see the same format in Google My Maps app. You can see that this set date, set time column has been added when we added validation to the Google Maps in the laptop. This is the column that gets added in the app. And when I click on this date time option, opens. So there is no scope of entering any other data, date and time. Once I've entered the date and time, it will again display it in Google My Maps. Going forward, we already saw how to share the link of the map for collaboration. There are certain interface issues at this level, but only once we start using it frequently, we'll come to know of the issues that we face. I have tried to clarify some of these issues in my tutorials. I'll not delve deep into it. I'm simply, this is where you copy this is WhatsApp. I open it in Google Chrome in my phone. One important step here is that I click on the 3 bars at the top right in the Chrome menu, and I select the desktop side version. So exactly the version that we saw in our laptops opens even in our phones, and we can edit it. We can also use this link to open the maps in My Maps app, provided we have the app installed. So it will always give us an option of whether to use My Maps or Chrome. But there are some which are not compatible with this. So as I said, only once we start using it widely will we come to know what works and what doesn't work. Coming to the next special notes, as I mentioned here, As I mentioned, the Google data table that we were seeing, it was not possible to download it directly into Google Sheets or Excel. So we have a way around it, and that I'll demonstrate just live. We just open this map. We go to this 3 dots. We click on Export to KML KZ. We can choose one of the layers or all the layers, and we select from scratch, and we simply click on Download. So we have the data downloaded. We go to this link. It's a unfortunately, the WebEx menu is blocking the link that I need to open. So now I just, this is convert KML to Excel SX platform. We just import, we just click on this browse and we select the file that needs to be converted. And when we click OK, it will convert this KML file to Excel format, and then we'll be able to open it in Excel. I'm not going through the procedure because we have some more pressing, more interesting utilities to see further. So basically, you can use this link to convert KML to Excel. This is just an example of how we can use the static maps. As you can see, this is some dummy data, and these are all the points plotted. The males, females are being shown over here. So this is, suppose this is again dummy data. This is suppose COVID cases. This is the first layer and these are the cases. Next layer can be contacts of each case. Suppose this layer will be labeled 9, that is the 9th case, and contacts of the 9th case. So this layer will have one positive case, that is this 9th one, which we again put in this layer as well, and then we plot all the contacts. So when we see the map as a whole, we can just remove the data, the layers which we don't want to see, and for suppose I select just this layer, then I can see that this is the case and these are the contacts of that case. So the distribution of the contacts for a particular case, and this was especially important in the initial times. Now that the disease has spread so widely, this particular feature may not be that useful in this context, but it's just an example of how we can use it. So these are just the contacts of case 9. And again, I have given different symbols. These are healthcare contacts and these are household contacts of case, as you can see. So as I've already said, layers can be superimposed to view together or separately. Whenever we click on a mark, we see all the data that was entered. Now coming to the last part, that is live movement tracking using Google Maps. Now the process for it is slightly complex. So I shortly will a tutorial for exactly how to proceed, but I'm just going to use this platform to show the possible outcome and just a brief method. So suppose a field worker goes into field and visits a quarantined person for the first time. So what we do is we take the person, of course, with his or her permission. If he agrees, we take his or her phone, we open Google Maps, not Google My Maps, we open Google Maps. This is the Google account name that I mentioned. And this is the name that we have to enter in our static sheet if we want to compare the location. If you want to compare the static assigned location with the live movement, then we have to have this column added. This is the Google account name. And when we click on in My Maps, again we have 3 bars at the top right. When we click on it, we get this location sharing. Once we have done it, then this window will open wherein we enter the ID of the authorized ID with which we want to share the location. Once that is done, you can see that this is the map that was previously created. This is the case that I had marked previously, and this was a contact of this case. This is the assigned location on the static map, and here you can see is this live location. As you can see through visual inspection, that these two places almost are almost overlapping, so you can figure out that the person is not moved. Now there are several drawbacks of this. One is that this superimposition of live maps with static maps, though possible, this comparing the movement of comparing the live movement with the assigned location is not an inbuilt feature of Google Maps. So of course we will constantly have to see the movements of all the people. However, if we have a small number of people that we need to monitor very rigorously, then that is where this feature can be used. Since it is not very widely implementable, I'm not going into great details of it, but the only point I want to drive home is if we have a static map and if the location is of an individual is shared, then we can superimpose the two to understand if the person is at the same assigned place or he has moved about. Also, a lot of us who have been using Google Maps for a long time know that Google Maps is more accurate when we are moving, and when we are static, it is not. If I'm static, this live movement marker might just keep moving here and there in the same vicinity. However, once I start traveling away, then it will become very smooth and I'll be able to track the movement. And again, when we superimpose these two, we can see all the other data that has been entered previously. So, as I said, this Google account, making Google account name as the title will enable us to, for example, if this particular person is moving a lot. So I just see his Google account name by clicking on this marker here. So I get this name. I put this in the search bar and I'll get the static location. That is right here. So I'll understand whether he has moved away from the assigned location or not. And this is what data about the person that was fed before. And in that, if we have the contact details, we can actually even call up the person and inquire why he or she has moved, or if he is at home and his phone has been taken by someone. One good feature for location sharing is that in the mobile phone, if we are seeing the location of individuals who have shared their location with us, then this icon here appears faded if the person has stopped sharing. So when I see a whole list of icons, I can see the icons which are faded and I can actually contact those individuals, find out their information from this bar at the bottom. We can inquire why that location has stopped. Just the last part, to have an accurate static map and live tracing, we need the following prerequisites. One is obviously the permission of the person. Second is that the static map itself should be accurate, else it will not be very useful. Thirdly, we need to ensure that the location in the mobile phone is turned on, and to ensure that the phone is with the person. So only with high compliance is this tool of any use, this tool being live tracking. Otherwise, the static mapping is useful irrespective of how much compliance is there, provided we keep the data confidential and we try to avoid taking unnecessary personal data. So that's all about my session. I know it was slightly probably an overload of information, but I hope that when you go through these videos again, it will become very easy for you. And as I said earlier, Google itself as a platform is very intuitive. एक बार वापरવાનું ચાલુ કરીએ પછી we realize how easy and logically it flows. But this was just to drive home up the point that there are a lot of features on this freely accessible, very user-friendly platform. So of course, Google Maps cannot do the level of analysis that QGIS can do or other sophisticated software, but at smaller levels, we can get a lot of work done even with Google Maps, even without any formal training. And it's very easy for even the field workers to do. And so that's it. Thank you, and may you map the world. And in the end, these are my contact details. And of course, first and foremost, I thank all the faculty in my department, Banderi sir, Uday sir, Dinesh Kumar sir, Shyam Sundar sir, Manisha ma'am, everybody, because they've always been very supportive regarding this digital mapping activity. And so that first of all, I would like to thank them, and of course IAPSM Gujarat chapter for having given me this chance to share the activity that all of us have been doing in our. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the Instagram link, that is Medicine Beyond Classroom. It's an informal initiative that we've begun, and it's basically where I document all the activities that I do as a postgraduate student in community medicine. So all the videos that I've shown here will also be uploaded on the Medicine Beyond Classroom website. Some of them may also be uploaded on Instagram, the shorter ones. Also, I have a YouTube channel called Dr. Chitra Pandya, and in that I have a separate section which is kind of a library for digital mapping tutorials. So all the things that we have done here I have a few major points already, tutorials already uploaded. The smaller ones are yet to be uploaded, and I will upload. This is my WhatsApp as well as contact number, and this is my email ID. Any questions? I'm ready to take any questions.
So thank you, Dr. Chitra, for